All right, today we're going to talk about domain and range of continuous functions. Now, in the last video, we talked about graphs that looked like this, that had a distinct set of points. These are called discrete functions. They have very specific points. Today, we're going to look at graphs that look like this. They're lines, circles, points that are connected. So these are called continuous functions. Okay, so looking at our first. So remember, domain goes with the x values and range goes with the y. So first thing I'm going to look is how far to the left of my graph go. Okay, so here it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. So that's -4, right? Left is negative. Then how far to the right? Well, in this case, it goes 1, 2, 3 to the right. So my domain is really a set because it can be anywhere in between -4 and 3. So I'm going to write this as an inequality. So I get -4 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3. You're always going to use less than or equal to, or less than, depending on if we have open or closed. All right, so now we're going to look at the range, and that's the bottom to the top. So if I look at how far down does my graph go? In this case, it goes down to that green line, right? So I go 1, 2, 3 down. And how far up do I go? Well, in this case, I go 1, 2, 3 up. So again, I'm always going to use that less than or equal to. Y is going to be in the middle this time. And it's going to be -3 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 3. Now, is this a function? No. We failed the vertical line test straight off the bat. All right, let's look at this one. So we've got a diagonal line. So how far left am I going to keep going? Well, I'm going to keep going forever. So that's going to keep going on to -infinity. Now, how far right do I go? Well, again, I keep going on for infinity. So anytime that I'm going to go on forever with the domain, that is all real numbers. And I have a little shorthand for writing all real numbers. That's just this funky little r. Or you can write out all real numbers. I'm not, because I much prefer my shorthand. Saves time. Okay, so now let's look at the range. How far down am I going? Well, again, if I keep following this line forever, I'm going to keep going on down and down. I'm never going to stop. So again, I've got that -infinity. Now, how far up am I going? Again, following that line, I keep going forever and ever and ever. So again, I have all real numbers. Now, is this a function? If I draw a vertical line anywhere on there? So yes, this is a function, and it does pass the vertical line test. All right, let's look at number 3. Again, looking at the left to right, so how far left? If I keep drawing this line out, I'm going to keep going on forever to the left, so that's -infinity. And again, same with the right. If I keep going, it's going to keep going forever. So we have all real numbers on the domain. Now let's look at the range. How far down do I go? What's the bottom of my graph? Well, my bottom of the graph is right there at -2. But the top of my graph, if I keep going up, it's going to keep going up, right? So that goes on to infinity. Okay, so in this one, y is greater than or equal to -2. Now, is this a function? Okay, yes it is. And we do pass the vertical line test. If I draw a vertical line at any given point, I'm only hitting one spot. All right, let's look at the next. Okay, domain, how far left am I going? Is it ever going to stop? Nope. So -infinity. My range, again, am I going to stop going right? Nope. So it's all real numbers. You're going to find a lot of functions that are either lines, are not like circles or, you know, squares, a shape, they're going to have a domain that's all real numbers. Most. Not all, but most. Okay, let's look at the range. How far down am I going to go on my graph? Do I ever get below a certain point? And in this, nope, my graph stops here. You can kind of see the pattern, even though we keep going on. So my bottom of my graph is -2. Now, how high do I go? Well, that goes up to 2. So my range is between -2 and 2. So I get 2 less than or equal to. Why? Less than or equal to 2. Is this a function? Yes, it is. All right, so now I have a triangle. So again, look how far left. What's the furthest left point I've got? Which is right here. So what is that value? Okay, -3. Now how far right? What's my furthest right? So +3. So my domain is between -3, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 3. Okay, now let's look at the range. What's the furthest down I go, which is the bottom of my triangle? That's -4. And how high? What's the topmost point? Well, that one's 4. So my range is between -4 and 4. So we get -4 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 4. Is this a function? No. Since it's a closed shape, it automatically fails the vertical line test. All right, I've got a couple more. So this is one of the cases where domain's not going to continue on forever on both directions, that we're not a closed shape. So how far left do I go? Well, I go to -2. Then I'm going to keep going right forever. If I kept following that out, it's going to keep going and going and going and never stop. So the right goes to infinity. So my domain is x is greater than or equal to -2, because we're going to go to the right forever. All right, my range. So how far down? Do I ever stop going down? No. So we're going to go to -infinity on the range. Then we're also going to keep going to +infinity as well. So the range on this one is all real numbers. Is this a function? Nope, we do not pass the vertical line test. All right, I've got a vertical line. So how far left do I go on this one? Well, I've got, the only place my line is right here. And that's at 2. So left and right are both 2. How far left and how far right? So this is x is equal to 2, because no matter where I am on that line, x will always be 2. So how far down do I go? Am I going to ever stop going down? No. So that's -infinity there, because I'm going to keep going on forever. Oof, that's a... Okay, how far am I going to go up? Am I going to ever stop going up? No. So my range is all real numbers. Is this a function? No, it does not pass the vertical line test. All right, last one, I have a horizontal line. Now my domain, how far left am I going? Okay, I'm going to keep going left for forever. How far right am I going? It's going to keep going on forever, right? That's what those arrows mean, is that it keeps going on past our graph. So the domain is all real numbers. Now, how far down do I go? Bottom of my graph is at -3. How far up? Stays at -3, right? So y is equal to -3. Is this a function? Yes. We'd pass the vertical line. Doesn't matter where. I'm going to have a straight single point on every line. All right. I do have a little cheat sheet, and if after you've watched the notes, you want to come get that from me. All right, I'll see you in the next.